We start with that breaking news this afternoon. Liquidators of the embattled airline SA Express have told over 600 workers there not to return to work. The state-owned airline was placed under provisional liquidation last month by the High Court in Johannesburg. For more on the story, I'm joined in studio by our business editor, Xolani Mbanjwa. Xolani, good afternoon. Okay, I'm presuming these letters contain very distressing news for workers.
No, absolutely. And I caught up with the liquidator of SA Express earlier on, and he did say that this is the next step, the natural step. Remember that they are appointed by the court to actually make sure that business rescue takes place. SA Express was put in business rescue in February, and you remember that last month they actually went into provisional liquidation, which is yet to be finalized next month, which put questions about the powers really of liquidators. But yes, over 600 employees are facing an uncertain future really. Their salaries not having been paid for April, and really not a good time for SA Express. This company has really not been the favor of any month really when it comes to state-owned entities. It's not really been a strategic asset. You know, when you look at how during the business rescue, government did not even put up a fight. Also with the liquidation order from the provisional one from last month, there was no government did not put up a fight really. Really looking at it as as a dead entity, as it were.
Okay, I mean, there are all sorts of symbols here as well. If SA Express goes into permanent liquidation, people are being told not to come back to work. It seems hard to see how that won't be the case. I mean, this sends all sorts of signals around SAA, around the aviation sector in general.
No, absolutely. And you talking about SAA, we still don't know what kind of future it has. They made it very, very clear, the Department of Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan, that we are not going to fund SAA or give it any more money, because we haven't even seen a cogent turnaround plan from people who are business rescue practitioners who've been there for 5 months. So they've sent them back to the drawing board to say, go and look at something much more cogent, much more workable, a workable plan. Finance Minister Tito Mboweni has made it clear twice now to say that we are not going to be putting public funds into SOEs that are actually not working. So the future of those state-owned companies is quite hangs in the balance. And remember that SAA, which is quite interesting, SAA is currently talking to various equity partners, possible people who want to buy into the business. SA Express, on the other hand, there are still questions as to whether there are any talks at all with anybody who would want to actually buy this sort of business.
We talk about it as if it's this airy-fairy thing because it's an airline, but it also provides important economic transport links between the smaller centres. Now, if you are the mayor of one of the smaller centres, maybe the Solplaatje municipality in Kimberley, maybe, for example, some of the others, East London, I think is a good example, you're going to be a little worried that you're just not going to have a transport link that people have become used to. Without that, there's no business. There are all sorts of other economic linkages that just disappear. Absolutely,
you are right, and that is actually quite important also for SAA, as South Africa is really the gateway to the rest of Africa. South African Airways at its height, used to fly to the second highest destinations around the world direct. It was second in the world, and that actually brought a lot of people this way, using OR Tambo Airport as a link to the rest of the continent. And that is quite important for smaller, airports where SA Express and SA Airlink were actually operating. Now it's quite hard when you look at the big guns like Comair saying that we are actually in financial distress, and they actually met their creditors earlier today.
All right, Xolani Mbanjwa, thank you very much indeed. Let me just tell you that we are expecting to speak to the liquidator at SA Express at around 5:30. That'll be on the Pulse. Kathy Mokhohlana will join me for that. We'll also speak to Mosebenzi Zwani. He's the chair of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Transport. We're expecting him to give us an update on what's happening with SAA and with airports companies South Africa. The aviation business, lots of money going out, no money going in, no flights in the air really. That's the big problem at the moment. We'll have more on that. Xolani, thank you very much indeed.